Today I'm going to turn this daytime photo into a night scene. First of all, shout out to Famous Fickle Food for collaborating on this photo. Definitely go check out her artwork, it's awesome. I'm starting out with my typical Lightroom settings that I apply to just about every photograph, and once the basic corrections are made, I'm going to right click on the thumbnail and open it as a smart object in Photoshop. This way we can access the camera raw features at any time while we make the composite. Back in Lightroom, I'm going to do the same with this image that I took of the night sky. Just some basic adjustments and then open as a smart object. Now I'm going to copy and paste the sky onto the foreground image, duplicate the background, and move that on top of the sky layer. I always like to keep the original background layer. Now I'm just readjusting the sky. I'm going to use the Object Select tool to select all of the foreground. Now I'm just refining the selection. And once that's done, I'll head up to Select and Mask to make a few more refinements to try and get the mask to look as clean as possible for now. And now that I have the selection, I'm going to click the New Mask button. I'm double clicking the Smart Object symbol to open up the camera raw settings. To make this look more like a night scene, I'm going to give this image an overall blue tone. One way to create a night look is to just drag the temperature slider to the cool side until it looks pretty good. Also, lowering the exposure and highlights will help with the effect. And I'm just going to adjust the shadows a little bit to make it a little less contrasty. I'm trying to do the same with the night sky, however, I'm realizing there is no smart object option because the layer was copied and pasted. So I'll have to open the original document and click on the smart object settings there. Same process, adjusting the color temperature until it matches the foreground. A few additional adjustments, and now I'll paste it beneath the foreground layer and adjust the position. I think the mask could be a little better, so I'm going to clean it up by painting out the unwanted sections. Now I'm adding a gradient fill layer and picking a blue color from the background. I'll set the blending mode to screen and adjust the grading until it looks like there's a slight glow from the horizon. I have a few other versions of this shot where I can borrow a different look for the hair to make it look a little more flowy. So the same process as before, open the camera raw settings and adjust the color temperature and exposure. I'm going to copy and paste this layer between the foreground and the background layers. Now to adjust the scale and the placement so it looks like it's part of the original image. I'm making a new mask and inverting it to hide the layer. And now with white selected, I'll paint in the area to reveal the hair. And with the rectangular select tool, I can select just the area I want to keep, create a new layer, and delete the original. Now I'm just going to make a few more adjustments and mask out what I don't need. Sometimes it's difficult with these complex selections, so to make it a little easier for now, I'm going to change the blending mode to darken. I'm fixing the mask on the foreground layer. And again on the hair layer. I'm adding a curves adjustment layer and clipping it to the hair layer. Curves will help the hair blend in a bit more. Also, a hue and saturation layer to remove some of the blue tones. Now I'm adding a new layer and setting the blend mode to overlay. I'll select a blue from the background and paint it over the image to further mesh these layers together. I just experiment with the opacity of the brush and the layer itself until it looks pretty good. It's important to be subtle so that the image doesn't look oversaturated. Now I want to duplicate this hair layer and add some blur using the path blur filter. I'm just adding a few paths in the direction of the hair. I'm also going to mask out this selection here, which doesn't look quite right anymore. Now I'm adding some curves to darken the foreground a bit, but masking out the background in the subject, which should put some more focus on our subject. Back in the camera raw settings once more to reduce the noise and add a mask to the sharpening. And now I'm going to readjust the gradient. Reposition the sky and add some contrast to the sky with the curves adjustment layer. And one more gradient adjustment. Now I'll combine all the layers into a new layer to clone stamp out the corner of the sky here. I'll duplicate that layer and add a Gaussian blur. I'm setting the blend mode to screen and the opacity to 30%. This will add a bit of a dreamy look to the image. I'm adding a curves adjustment layer, clipping it to the blur layer, and adding some contrast to remove the blur from the darker tones. Now I'll add a mask and paint out the area that I don't want that dreamy look. Back in Lightroom, I'm just going to make a few more adjustments to bring the image together. Thanks again for watching, and I hope that helped.